Was Jim Harbaugh just using Michigan to get to the NFL? Let's get to our first story, and this first story is comes directly from Rob. I think it was your video. You made the case that Jim Harbaugh used Michigan to get to the NFL. Why don't you give us a recap of what you were talking about in that video?
Yeah, so I was looking back at basically Jim Harbaugh's time with Stanford, and anywhere he went, he was a winner, brought a program back, and he did that with Stanford. So his time with the 49ers, I mean, they were a one-win team the year before he got there. I mean, the rest is history. Three straight NFC Championship appearances, one Super Bowl appearance. We all know the story. He lost to his brother John Harbaugh in
Mhm.
dramatic fashion. And the after the third straight NFC Championship appearance, which they lost to the Seahawks, he I mean, the rumor was that he lost the locker room. He was butting heads with management, and so people don't like to admit this, but he got fired. I don't care what anyone says. He got fired, and after that, all the drama and stuff, I think he got blacklisted. And there was no way another NFL team was going to hire this man after what he did with the 49ers. I mean, losing your locker room and heading uh, with management, that's just a big no-no. So here's Michigan down on their luck, and so Jim Harbaugh swoops in. He wants to bring back Michigan to national prominence, and he does just that. But in the back of his mind, he wants to return to the NFL, but he needs to complete the project, and he did, and now he's back in the NFL. So to me, I feel like he just took the Michigan job to get back to the NFL for those reasons. He never wanted to be there for the long run. I mean, and he was quoted. This was his quote: "Winning a national championship is nice, but there's nothing like hoisting that Lombardi trophy." So he's got another shot, but he used. I mean, he is Michigan's son, so he used Michigan to get back there.
Okay, so I saw your video, and I think my response to it was that if Harbaugh used Michigan to get to the NFL, he left us with three Big Ten championships, three straight wins over Ohio State, a national championship, a restored program. Um, and if that's the case, then I'm okay with him using Michigan. But now I want to flip it over to Mac though, because I think actually you make an excellent point about the 49ers, because from what I remember what happened to him at the 49ers, he was butting heads with management constantly. Um, he did well with the Chargers, when he played for the Chargers. But yeah, I think you're right. There was a lot of conflict between him and the management of the 49ers, and that's part of the reason he went back to college. But Mac, I think you had some thoughts on this.
Well, I mean, I mean, yeah, I guess if Jim Harbaugh used Michigan to get back to the NFL, then it kind of worked out.
That worked out
um,
for both parties.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think that I don't know that he used Michigan as much as he was able to complete the mission in the college level, at the college level. And then it was just time to go on to the NFL because I think with all the stuff that's come out recently about Ward Manuel, and that whole situation is that like Harbaugh actually kind of wanted to stay at Michigan, it sounds like.
Sure.
But they couldn't figure out a good contract negotiation because Harbaugh wanted protection from the NCAA should the NCAA go rogue and decide to do something about this sign stealing network
Sure.
BS. So I think Harbaugh's probably fine with having left Michigan where he's leaving it and getting a shot at the Lombardi Trophy because, like he said, he's getting old and he's running out of time. And I think that Lombardi Trophy is probably that goal that he's always wanted ever since he lost to his brother in the Super Bowl. So whatever. I mean, whatever the case was, it worked out for Michigan, and Harbaugh's back in the NFL and can go for the Lombardi. So, I mean, Peter, like you said, it worked out for everybody. So who cares?
Yeah, right. No, in the end, it certainly did. I think, him and Ward, you know, Jim's kind of a weird personality. He can be a little bit grating, you know, to
Mhm.
some people. And I think they definitely butted heads as well. I don't know how he would have felt had he not restored the program. You know, like say the last 3 years didn't happen. Obviously they did, so you can't. But um, I don't know if I see him leaving. Maybe to Rob's point, like I agree to an extent to Rob's point, because the opportunity was there. Michigan was down in their luck, and he did have to do a little bit of rehabbing of his image. But to your point, Mac, from a Buckeye perspective, unfortunately, it did work out for Michigan and him. And obviously, I can't imagine him Jim sitting at Thanksgiving or Christmas gatherings, and John just kind of like older brother rubbing it in a little bit, you know, like that's got to irk him, you know,
And you gotta know that, like, that's what's happening too. Like,
without question.
yeah, because they're such a competitive family. Um, but yeah, I had
Hey
a
Jim,
thought.
you remember that game that we played against each other? I can
You
just see
remember
it,
it was
man. I
on
can hear
national
it. And
TV.
Jim's the
Didn't
ultimate competitor too, and
Yeah.
he wouldn't take that too lightly. So I think he had some incentive to get back. You know, from a Buckeye perspective, I was
but
hoping, um, you know, that Alabama would get the dub, and there were certainly some precarious moments toward the end of the game. My goodness, what a thriller!
I know, yeah.
Must have been. I was on the edge of my seat, but from a Michigan perspective, there must have been even more heart-stopping moments, especially the punt at the end of the game that was muffed and then recovered. I'm still not sure how he hung on to that,
No
but he
idea.
did. Respect to him, and
Yeah.
you know, he restored them, and he totally did flip the rivalry. Um, and that really stinks from a Buckeye perspective.
Well, it's interesting because I don't know that, like, and I mean, every single offseason starting in 2015, the media was running the story. Oh, Jim Harbaugh is going to go back to the NFL. He's already getting NFL offers and stuff like that.
Sure.
I don't think anything actually was serious until 2021. Like, he wasn't interviewing with anybody until 21 after he had
Right.
beaten Ohio State finally and actually started to prove that Michigan was legitimately back, because up to that point, Michigan was 9-3, 10-2 at best.
Right.
So he hadn't really done anything. I mean, he destroyed Florida in the Citrus Bowl, but Florida sucks. Who cares? So
Right.
he hasn't actually proven anything until 2021, and then he actually starts interviewing. So it's, I mean, he was never going to leave until 2021 because there was no reason for him to. He hadn't done anything yet.
Yeah, there wasn't enough pull from NFL coaches to actually be interested in hiring him again, you know,
Yeah.
because his on-field performances had slipped, you know, on in all honesty. And
Mhm.
I think in that 21 interview offseason and 22 interviews on the offseason, there was like a little bit more of, okay, continue to prove it though. Because
Yeah.
if you know, continue to prove yourself. In 21, there wasn't enough interest. 22, okay, you're doing better, but you still lost in the biggest game, you know, in the
Mhm.
playoffs. And now he can go into in the interview with the Chargers, and obviously, you know, he got the position, but he can put it all on the table. It's like, look, man, I did it. I'm gonna come do it for you guys now too at the highest level.
Well,
you
is
know,
there
I
Sorry,
just
Rob, go ahead.
I don't know. To me, I don't think Michigan was ever his first choice. If it wasn't for the
Interesting.
budding, I don't. If it wasn't for the butting heads with management losing his locker room, I don't even think he would have came to Michigan. There'd be no reason to come to Michigan. And again,
Really?
he saw Michigan down in their luck, and he took the opportunity. Now, yes, he was not getting interest until 2022, but I think he knew that this was going to be a process. Let me take you back to the good old. I mean, I think the lowest of the low was the good old Brady Hoke years. So, I,
Good old Brady
sorry
Good
guys,
old
I know
Clapper.
I know that it's a rough spot to talk about, but we got to do it. So I think it was the and to me this was the lowest point of Michigan football. It was the Minnesota Michigan game. I think it was at the Big House. Not
Yeah.
only did they get completely stomped, but they were having trouble selling tickets. So I think it was a Buckeye page, and this was legit because I've been to Ann Arbor a couple of times, and this was legit like pizza shop. They were selling tickets. You buy pizza, you get 2 2-liters, you get tickets to the Michigan Minnesota game,
Oh my
the
gosh.
lowest of the low.
I
So
know.
it's just like Jim Harbaugh is probably looking at the shop saying, you know what, this town loves me. I'm Michigan's beloved son. I made the prediction to beat Ohio State, and I delivered on it. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do this little side project. I'm gonna bring them back to national prominence. And you know what? They're gonna come knocking on my door. Like, I'm not gonna beg to go back in the NFL. I'm gonna prove myself again. So yes, it was a you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back moment. But I mean, for now, yeah, Michigan is back. Keyword for now. But until then, I mean, I
Oh,
think
Shots. The first shot is thrown.
for now. But I mean, until then, yeah. I mean, kudos to Jim Harbaugh. I mean, I was hating on them the entire time. I was in chat saying there is no way that Michigan is going to win the national championship with a running game only, and they proved me wrong. So kudos to him. But kudos to him also to carrying out his plan. He's back to where he wants to be. He didn't want to be at Michigan anymore. Like, they were never his first choice.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm still kind of in the position of like we're never really going to know for sure because we're not in his head. Maybe it was just the opportune moment he could come back to Michigan and rehabilitate the school at the same time he's rehabilitating his career, and it seemed to work out for everybody. So I mean, again, I say who cares, but also we'll never actually know. I mean, maybe because Harbaugh did get into a little bit of a tiff with the running back, Mike Hart, actually got into a bit of a tiff with Mike Hart over academic standards at Michigan at one point.
Oh, I remember that quote when he was still at Stanford. Yeah.
Yeah. And so maybe it's possible at one point Harbaugh thought he was better than to have to come back to the college ranks. I don't know. But in the end, I mean, it sounded like just from what's been coming out over the last month that Harbaugh wanted to stay this year. Whether or not that's true doesn't really matter either. He's in the NFL now, and he's got a chance to win the Lombardi, and good for him. Everybody's happy in the end, whether or not he used them.
Yeah.
For now, Michigan is happy, but let me tell you something. We'll get to that later.
We'll get to I like it.
Oh,
A
man.
couple of good chats here. Roy Messer says Harbaugh loves the NFL, but he loves Michigan football as well, and the 49ers and Michigan benefited by having him at the helm. I think the 49ers had to do it over again. They probably would fire the GM.
I don't know about that. I mean,
Yeah.
the 49ers are doing well with Shanahan. I mean, he has them in the NFC Championship picture or even Super Bowl like for like almost every year. I mean, what is it, like 3 or 4 straight NFC Championship appearances, 2 Super Bowl appearances since what, like 2019?
Kyle Shanahan's got something good going on with the 49ers, and that quarterback Brock Purdy is just on another level right now. I mean, he's looking good. So
I don't know. I think he's the weak link at the 49ers.
Really? Oh, he was playing really well.
I think I think if they had any other quarterback. I mean, here's the thing though. Brock Purdy, he's a good game manager. You put him in there, he'll do what he needs you. He'll do what you need him to do. But just not championship caliber talent. Not Super Bowl caliber talent. It's just not going to happen. It's just not.
I mean, I don't know enough to argue with you, so you're probably right. But a couple of games that I saw, especially the one against the Lions, I mean, the NFC tournament game against the Lions, that second half, he just lit them up. So
he did.
Yeah.
He did. He has the potential to be the next Tom Brady, like in terms of being drafted so late and taking his team so far. I don't think he has that kind of talent or work ethic. I'm not an NFL aficionado. Obviously, I love and obsessed with college football. My pro team has been trash forever. So I've always been more invested in college and been to way more games. But we'll see. I mean, if he keeps taking them back to back to back to back to back, he's got to win it eventually. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see.
I think Connor here has something we can agree on, that if one thing is true about Harbaugh, he is a stubborn son of a gun.
He wants to do it his way.
I think that's absolutely true.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They should have played Frank Sinatra's My Way. during his exit football. Because he did do it his way. It's true. He did do it his way.
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
But I wish he would have kept Don Brown, not gonna lie.
Well, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
obviously his defense is, Don
Those
Brown.
those crossing routes, man.
Don
Interesting-
Brown coached
interesting-
defense like I did in NCAA football. Blitz on every play.
Sam Hartman's looking downfield for Adrian.
Oh! Carter almost has a one-handed catch.
Almost.